What's up guys, and welcome back to a brand new career mode video here for season 3 on F1 2017 for the third season of my career mode for round number 2 at China for the Chinese Grand Prix. And as you can see on screen right now, it's sort of humid conditions here for Friday practice. Now overall, I was looking forward to this race after the incredible race last time, which I do urge you guys to go check out in Australia. The upgrades from the last season went onto the car, and oh my days, we've taken a big step up in performance. And I do urge you guys to go watch the episode if you haven't seen it already, because the first race in Australia was an absolutely mental one, and there's a reason why I'm so excited to jump into this race here and try and have a good performance. But as you can see, we're now by the way, just a little note that I want to say from the last episode. A lot of people said to me, why did I put it on full qualifying? I simply forgot. Basically, if you don't do it before the race weekend loads up, then you've got no chance to change it. However, for this weekend and this race, I have changed it to full qualifying, and it shall remain that way for the end of the season. And I've also already pre-recorded the next episode in Bahrain, and then after that, I'm about to record Sochi, which is going to be the first race with the new updated car models, which has just been launched in the new patch. So a lot of exciting stuff coming on the way very soon. But we're now going to focus on this weekend here at China for the second race of the season, and the practice progress went rather well. Managed to get basically at least 30 or 50 points in every single one of them, so a good start to the weekend, putting away more resource points. And we're now going to jump into Q1 here, going out on the soft compound tyre, trying to save my super softs for later on in the session. And we come across the line on our first attempt in Q1, and the lap is good enough for P5, which then brought obviously the motor to P6, and then by the end of the session we just scraped through in 14th place. And the reason I went on soft tyres is because I wanted to save my super softs for Q2 and Q3 to have 2 runs in both sessions, and also because there is rain expected for the start of the race tomorrow. So that's basically the reason why I wanted to basically not bother qualifying on soft, because I would have had to start the race on inters anyway. So as you can see in Q2 currently, we're in P11, knocked out at the moment from the session, and we're coming through on a second attempt, and we are up quite a bit on our previous lap. And as we come across the line, where is our improved effort going to put us in the pack here? We have to wait and see. It's P6, so a very good lap there in Q2 to get us through into the third and final part of qualifying there. And overall, very solid session. Ocon actually gets knocked out in P11, so we've managed to out-qualify our teammate by quite a margin actually, and get him knocked down in the process by improving our lap right on the death there. We've actually knocked our teammate out, so big lap there in Q2. But we're now going to jump into Q3, and this was the end of my first attempt in the session, and it was actually a pretty good lap, to be fair. As an opening lap as a banker, it was a really good lap, and we get P2 behind Bottas for now, but then eventually obviously guys around us would improve. And as we skip on to the end of the session now for our final attempt, we're down to P8 at the moment, but we're going to run a board for a full lap here of the Shanghai International Circuit as we go into turn 1, 8th gear. And then basically you've got to be very careful with the gears. Use the gears smartly to try and get the nose in and avoid having to brake. Try and carry as much speed as possible, even if it means absolutely hammering the tyres. Then through turn 2, loads of different lines you can take on the exit of the corner. You can go wide, you can go narrow, loads of different options there as you go through turn 4, and now into turn 5, third gear corner. I just missed the apex slightly. It's really important they do pick up the apex there. However, I get some very good traction and very good exit speed out the corners. We now go through turn number 7 here, or turn 6, a flat out left-hander which feeds into turn 7, right-hander, very tricky, slightly off camber here. The car wants to really slide out, so you've got to be very careful with it and sort of hold on to the car, not let it slip out too wide, as we then go get a good run through the double apex left-handers. And we now go into this next left-hander, 90-degree corner, if not slightly more, 100 degrees, coming slightly back on yourself, and then flicking it right as we go into the long swooping banking here. And so far we're on for a pretty good lap. Very nice improvement actually on our first attempt, and what we've got to do now is try and bring the car home. We're only a couple more corners to go, so very good stuff so far. DRS wide open on the back straight. And now looking for the brake zone here into the hairpin. 100-meter board on the left hand side is pretty much your reference point. Brakes spot on, literally on the meter board, even not slightly before it. I missed my apex slightly, and then I get a bit of a tank snapper on the exit. I try to get the power down, and it's not ended well for us, and that is going to mean the end of our qualifying session. Just trying to get a little bit too greedy on the accelerator on the exit of the corner there, and it ended up costing me pretty dearly. So unfortunately, we are not going to improve on our position, and P8 is where we're going to end things for this qualifying session. We're going to start from 8th place for the Shanghai Grand Prix, and Vettel is on pole ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, with both Mercedes in 3, 4, and both Red Bulls in 5th and 6th, and once again getting unqualified by Felipe Massa. But we're now going to move into Sunday for the Chinese Grand Prix. Right, so here we are then for race day at China for round 2 of the season, and P8 on the grid, exact same situation as Australia, with Williams to my left-hand side in the form of Felipe Massa. And the only major difference compared to Australia is that this race is going to be wet pretty much throughout the entire Grand Prix. So we're going to have wet conditions, intermediates for the entire race. So let's hope that our car performs in these conditions. But I'm going to do a bit of an aero change, a little bit more front wing, just to add on a little bit extra. But overall, I'm looking forward to the race actually, even though I would have wished for a bit of changing conditions and a little bit of dry running. I don't really know what our wet pace is like, but I hope it's okay. And hopefully we can have a good race from here. And hopefully try and sort of, you know, just continue our momentum from a brilliant result we had in Australia last time, and just sort of keep progressing lastly as a team, and just keep on putting them points away, and hopefully Ocon doesn't retire from this race and actually finishes in the points, and that way we can start to build points as a team and try and push towards Red Bull Racing, which speaking of which, they're both in front of us. So let's try and catch those two balls and try and overtake them and try and have a good race today for round number 2 of the season for the Chinese Grand Prix. Right then, here we go on the grid. 5 red lights for the Chinese Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go for round 2 of the season. Let's try and have a good start. Just shifting through the gears, going to cover the inside line because I've got a Haas making its way through, but we've had a pretty poor start actually as we go into turn 1 for the first time. Ocon looking around my outside. I'm going to really turn the steering wheel here to get the nose into the corners. Very slippy conditions on track at the moment, but we get past Felipe Massa as we've got the Rebels going side by side. Let's see if we can try and maybe get one of them on the exit of this corner. We tap the curb slightly, just going to get a little bit of opposite lock, but we are going to get Massa just about around the outside. So there we go. Good start getting past the Williams early on here. And they're actually going to have a look on the brakes here, I think, on Verstappen or Ricciardo, sorry, and Verstappen maybe. But we're going to just focus on the traction out of this corner, try and close the door on Ricciardo. We've actually got a little bit of a run on Verstappen here. Going to go around the outside of the Dutchman. I don't think I've got the downforce for it. And no, we don't. Verstappen just holds on. But good start from us nonetheless. Here is Ricciardo coming up my inside. But I'm just going to defend my inside line into this next corner. Ricciardo, though, committing to the outside. A little bit of a squeeze I just gave him there, just scrubbing out very wide. Probably my fault, but luckily no major contact. And my car is still intact. But here we go into P6. Good start to the race. Now let's try and settle into a rhythm and try and keep up with this top 5. So far, struggling in the conditions. Personal best lap times, but struggling to keep up with the Verstappen at the moment. And Ricciardo is pretty much all over the back of me. So it's going to be a race of looking behind us, I think, and not in front of us, especially, well, as long as Ricciardo is behind us, I'm going to have to keep an eye on him instead of Verstappen, unfortunately, because I just don't have the pace at the moment anyway. I don't know if the race will come back to me at some point, but for now, we don't really have the pace in these wet conditions around here. Okay, so Lewis is in the pit lane. I think he's going to go to the 3-stop strategy, and I can see why. The 2-stop is going to be, oh, sorry, he's on the 2-stop, he's going to the 2-stop strategy, and the 1 is very, very tricky. As you can see, looking at my tyres here, I've got to get to lap 14, and my tyres are really struggling at the moment. So I was contemplating switching to the 3, but that would throw away any chance of me getting into a top 5 finish. So I think at this point I've just got to try and stay out and hope that AI actually come in, because I seem to be doing pretty bad for wear compared to some of the AI cars. So hopefully most of them commit to a 3-stop, or sorry, to a 2-stop, and that way if I stick to the 1 then it'll be worth my while. But for now I've got to try and just stretch it out on these really worn tyres. Okay, and the other Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas comes in, so another reason for us to stay out a little bit longer. Both Ferraris and both Red Bulls seem to be okay for their tyres, which is going to be the main battle of today. Then we're going to be fighting out with Ricciardo to the end on that 1-stop strategy, so that's going to be very interesting. But for now, we're holding on. The tyres are holding on at the moment, but these could hit the cliff at any second, and that's my major concern. Yellow flag conditions behind, so something's happened a couple of corners behind us, so someone's had an issue. But meanwhile, we've got to focus on ourselves again, all out of shape. Bottas out of the race, so one of the Mercedes out of the Chinese Grand Prix. That is a big retirement already here. But here comes Ricciardo. He's picking up the toe. Will he get close enough? I don't think he will, but he's definitely having a look, and he's trying to make a move on me here. I'm really struggling in my rears majorly. My left rear is on 70%. I'm getting to that awkward territory now where I can't really do a 2 because it's going to kill my race, but I can't do a 1 because I'm going to really struggle. So I'm just sort of floating about in no man's land, to be honest. I think I'm going to commit to the 1, but I'm going to have to pit very soon, if not this lap, and try and suffer some pain at the end of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, here goes Ricciardo into turn 1. He's going to make the move. He's going to swing out very wide on me there, and wide again. I'm going to try and cut back underneath him and retake my position. Ricciardo there really trying to give me a run, but he got it way too hot into the first corner. So we're going to hold on to P4 for now. There's Lewis Hamilton on fresh inters, so we'll be fighting him until the end of the Grand Prix. So that's going to make things rather interesting, but for now, we're holding on these tyres. Right, here we go then. It's time to come into the pit lane and serve a pit stop. Getting it also down there, just running out of tyres. You can see how worn they are. Just really struggling on these now. So it's time to get these off and get some fresh boots on. Left through an 81%. I'm taking a risk here because I could only manage 12 laps on fresh inters. So how mathematically am I going to manage 14? But F1's a funny old world, and you can make certain things happen. So I'm just going to do a few tweaks and hope that the car can make it. So let's try and hope these changes work on the car. But I'm really playing with fire here in this final stint, so let's hope that it all works out for me. Okay, DRS has been enabled. That's rather interesting. The team's not telling me to come in for the dry tyres, but the track seems to be drying out. It has been the case. It has looked like it since lap 1, but obviously the question is the track going to be dry enough for dry tyres? Obviously, yeah, we're still yet to be offered the switch to dry, so I'm going to guess it isn't. The car monitor said to basically stay on into the entire race, so I'm just going to stick with these, but it's good to know DRS is enabled so that we're going to have to defend if we do get caught up by any fast cars. Right, Ricardo is in the pit lane. Personal best lap from me into the 1 minute 49s. There's Ricardo, so we're going to be comfortably ahead of the Honey Badger, so it just goes to show what fresh intermediates can do. But now we've got to try and nurse these to the end, which is going to be the real challenge here in the remainder of this Grand Prix. Okay, so interestingly enough, I've been offered a tyre switch onto dries. Ocon's actually come in for mediums. So, based off of that, I think I'm going to respond and I'm going to come in for dries myself. So I'm going to set myself up for dries this lap and come in for soft tyres at the end of this lap. So let's push now and use these tyres up, which I've been driving to try and save them, but I can now push the tyres I want. Okay, I'm going to stay out for one more lap here because I'm still not convinced the track is like fully dry enough. I want to basically race the guys on dries and see what their pace is like, so I want to have a reference point. So there's Vettel on softs, so let's just try and race him as a reference and see what my pace is like. Right then, so I've done a little bit of testing, and it does look like the advantage goes to the dry tyre, so we are going to come in this lap for dry, as Verstappen seems to do the same experiment as me by staying out a little bit longer here, but it is time for the dry tyres, so we're going to switch over to these soft compound tyres, and we should be now more than comfortable to get these to the end of the race. Ocon sets the fastest lap, so that pretty much cements home that it is time for the dries here. So 2-second pit stop, Ocon's on dries. The problem is now he's going to the end, I think, on those mediums, so I think Ocon might be beating me this race. Here comes Ricardo. This is going to be neck and neck with the Honey Badger here. Let's see if his outlap's been good enough. I'm going to hold the inside to turn 1. There's Ricardo on mediums. So different tyres here for both of us, but I'm going to hold the inside. Have I done enough? Yes, I have. So luckily, staying out the extra lap has not been an issue, and I've managed to keep ahead of Ricardo. So that was critical. And a very good start from the boys, 2-second flat. So now, let's get the hammer down on these soft compound tyres and try and stay ahead of Ricardo and also just push on here. Okay, so far the pace looks pretty good. I'm just starting to shake off Ricardo. I think he's still within with the RS, but I'm starting to stretch him a little bit, and these soft tyres are working very nicely, so the pace is good at the moment. Right, another personal best. I'm catching Verstappen by a second a lap. I think Verstappen is stuck behind Ocon here, so Ocon's going to give me the opportunity to try and hopefully catch him and also Verstappen hopefully before the end of the race if I keep up this pace, and it could be very interesting here. We could have a possible 2 Force Indias ahead of 2 Red Bulls if we keep this going. Ricardo is just about clinging on with DRS, but I've got the pace over him at the moment and I'm not too concerned about him following me. Right, another personal best, fastest final sector, so the track seems to be getting a little bit quicker here. Ocon has been passed by Verstappen, so he's 7.5 up the road with 7 full racing laps to go here, so it's going to be tight, but I've got to keep pushing. Another personal best, inside 7 seconds now to Ocon. I've got to really just keep pushing here. The track's starting to get quicker, and Ricardo is starting to get quicker as well on the mediums. Also, my tyres are starting to fade, which is going to be the growing concern here, but pace is still good, still doing personal best every single lap, and the track is drying out. On to the last lap, 3.7 behind Ocon. I don't think it's going to happen. Instead, Ricardo's found a bit of pace and my tyres are starting to go, so we're going to have to defend from Ricardo in this final lap of the Grand Prix here. Right, onto the back straight for the final time. Raikkonen wins in China, and now we just got to try and defend from Ricardo. I think I've got enough, and even with DRS, I don't think he's going to make the move on me here, so I think I've got it all wrapped up. Ocon's just up the road. It's a shame really because I did have the pace, and also I was much faster than Max Verstappen, who's just in front of Ocon as well, so really we could have finished as size P4 this race if I'd played my cards a little bit better, but however, I'm not going to complain. P6 is pretty good, and I would have taken that at the start of the race, and we just get the final corner a little bit wrong there, but yeah, I would have taken P6 at the start of the race, and that's what we're going to get. So overall, a solid race, solid points, and overall a good result, improving on our starting position, which was P8. So overall, I can't complain, and we managed to beat one of the Red Bulls. And overall, in terms of the Red Bull force in the battle, Ocon really doing a stellar job this race of pulling off a worldy strategy, being the first man out of everybody to go into the dry tyres a lap earlier than everybody else, and making it work to absolute perfection there. So fair play to Ocon, pulling it off there in the tricky conditions, and that's given us a massive points boost as a constructor. And it'll be interesting to see how the drivers and the constructors shape up after that race. But Raikkonen, once again, the defending champion, winning at Shanghai. I believe Vettel finished second. So overall, a disappointing one for Mercedes. Bottas retiring, so they'll be gutted they've lost a few points this race. But as you can see on the podium, it's a 1-2 for Ferrari. And when will these guys be stopped? Can they be stopped? Who knows? But the prancing horses are just absolutely unbelievable, and no one can touch them at the moment. So overall, fully deserved for those guys. Hamilton rounds up the podium, and Verstappen comes home in fourth. But as you can see, invisible champagne is being spread as we're now going to transition into the final race results, drivers and constructors standings. And as you can see, looking at the final race results, Raikkonen wins ahead of Sebastian Vettel, reversing the order of the 1-2 in qualifying to that 1-2 in the race. And then Hamilton brings it home in the starting position of P3 ahead of Max Verstappen in P4. And then myself and Ocon leading myself. And 5th and 6th for us, really good double points finish for us, and matching the amount of points Red Bull going to score because Ricciardo finished in 7th place. Then my rival Felipe Massa down in 8th place, Nico Hulkenberg in P9, and Sainz rounds out the top 10 with Pascal Wehrlein almost scoring points for the second race in succession by pulling off the one-stop strategy, which is what Ocon did to basically get himself way up the order. And it looks like Wehrlein almost pulled off a madness once again for the second race running. But looking a little bit further down the order here, you can see that we had Kvyat, Bottas, Magnussen all DNF, and also Grosjean right on the last lap there, also DNF from the Grand Prix. Lance Stroll finishing last of the runners. But looking at the driver standings after that race, you can see that we are in P4, Verstappen overtaking us there, and Ocon up into 7th place, so not too bad there, and a very good start for us in the championship with Ricciardo down in P8 there, and also Bottas down in P13, yet to get going really this season. And then looking at the constructors, you can see that we're holding P3 at the moment ahead of Mercedes AMG Petronas, as Bottas, like I said before, is yet to really score any sort of points this season. So far, so good, and we're almost in 2nd place, 1 point behind Red Bull. So far, this is a good start for us in this championship, and hopefully we can keep that going in the next few races. And I'm looking forward to, hopefully we can bring a big upgrade package by around the European season. So basically, I'm going to try and plan the next upgrade like I did at the end of last season, basically save up a load of points and spend it big time, and that'll be moving into Europe. So probably for Spain, we'll have a nice big tasty upgrade arriving for that race. But we're now going to move into the laptop. Right, so we're here on the R&D tree, and now I will do powertrain upgrades soon, but I'm going to focus on chassis for now. And we're looking at what we have here. Obviously, all of them around 900 R&D points, so that's not too bad. But I am considering possibly improving my cost and also my quality control. So basically, the chance of them parts failing is also less, and at the same time also they cost less. But basically for Spain, I'm planning to bring this upgrade here, and this one here. So hopefully if I can bring all of those three to Spain, that's going to be, what's that? That's 2,700 resource points. So I reckon I can put that away from now until then. Sponsor bonus from now until then would also be pretty good just to help me out. But I reckon if we bring those three upgrades, those should hopefully see us go from penultimate, where we are right now in the bottom, as you can see in the bottom right, all the way to 4th best ahead of Renault if all of those three arrive and don't fail. So that's the plan of action. We're going to try and get all of those three on the car, and once those three on the car, we're going to try and improve this one here, which is the tyre blankets. And I really want to try and maximise the tyre wear situation, because we really need the tyre wear to improve, because that is a big struggle of ours, and we did notice in that race, even though we managed to get away relatively unscathed. I mean, look what Ocon did. If I could have done what Ocon did, I could have easily had a podium that race, or been there in the running for a podium if I could have done what my teammate did. So in the grand scheme of things, tyre wear is going to have to be a big improvement. But other than that, guys, that's going to be it for this episode of Career Mode. If you have enjoyed it, then smash the like button. Also, let me know in the comments down below what I could do to improve these videos in future episodes. Also, subscribe if you're new to the channel, link down below in the description. And also, check out these videos on screen if you haven't done so already. And check out GT Omega in the links down below in the description. And use the cheeky code TOM97 for a 5% discount. But other than that, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.